This is a fan's MacBook Air. Let's take a look at this MacBook Air. Honestly, this color is not very dirt resistant. According to the fan, he bought it secondhand because he didn't understand when buying it. The memory was not enough. Let's look at about this Mac. It shows his CPU is an Apple M2 with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage. So, the fan chose to upgrade it to 2 TB and also asked us to check if it has been disassembled before. We all know the maximum capacity for Apple phones is 1 TB. And for iPad Pro and MacBook, their maximum memory is 2 TB, but this color of MacBook is particularly prone to getting dirty, no matter how much you clean it. On the back, its specific model is A2681. You can see there are 4 screws on the back securing it. Its screws are proprietary. I take out my favorite set of screwdrivers and unscrew the 4 screws around. This back cover has clasps and slides to be removed. After separating the clasps and pushing down, the back cover can be removed. You will find that from this model onward, the inside of the MacBook is very neat, much tidier than before. The first step before any operation is to disconnect the power, find the battery connector. And we first disconnect the battery. After disconnecting, we look at its battery, which is divided into 2 small and 2 long pieces, making up 4 battery units. Behind are the screen connector, the speaker connector, and the Type-C charging connector. First, we disconnect the touchpad connector. Here is the fingerprint connector. Next, disconnect all these connectors linked to external peripherals on the motherboard. Here are 2 antennas. This is the Type-C and charging connector. Next, there are a few large screws on the motherboard. We unscrew each one. Finally, disconnect all the screen connectors. Carefully remove the motherboard from the case. Actually, this metal sheet above is a large shield for the motherboard. We also need to remove this shielding. Some people quietly watch the video, but will quietly like, comment, share, and follow. Such people are really adorable. Keep the shield as clean as possible. After removing it, let's take a look. The craftsmanship is very Apple. The shield also has many words printed on it and has heat dissipation stickers. This is the M2 CPU. This is the Wi-Fi chip. This is the power chip. We can see this is the hard drive chip. The hard drive has 2 soldering positions, but only 1 chip. It uses a single 256 GB hard drive chip. Why? Is its expansion complicated? Because to expand to 2 TB, you need to replace it with 2 1 TB hard drives, but next to the other unpopulated soldering position, the capacitors and resistors are not populated. To switch to 2 TB, for the other unpopulated capacitors and resistors, we need to measure the adjacent capacitors and resistors sizes and positions. After measuring, they all need to be completed before it can work normally, and how big this needs to be, how to supplement it. There are no diagrams on the market. You can only base it on your own measurement experience. Okay, we heat and remove the original 256 GB hard drive. While it's hot, we treat the solder pads, due to time constraints. After measuring, we have already completed the other unpopulated hard drive, next to the capacitors and resistors, and the power supply. This took a very long time. Then, we clean the unpopulated solder pads. After preparing the solder pads, we bring out 2 1 TB hard drives. First, we implant new solder balls into the first hard drive, heat and melt each solder point. After treating the first, proceed to treat the second. Both hard drives are processed. Observe and check if okay. At this point, we install both 1 TB hard drives. Heat until touching the hard drives. The springy feel means the soldering is complete. Install both hard drives in the same way. Then use a cooling fan to cool them. After installing both 1 TB hard drives, we first simply install the motherboard, attach all the external connectors. At this point, we also need to bring out another MacBook, open the special software on this laptop, connect the 2 devices using AC port. You will see a MacBook in recovery mode. We install the latest system on it. This is the only way to install its system. After a successful installation, it will restart and come to the activation screen. Next, we proceed to activate it step by step. After successful activation, we then address the inside of the case. We disconnect the power, then we handle the area around the hard drives. Seal the area around the hard drives with black adhesive, then cure it. Then reattach the large shielding, reattach the Wi-Fi antenna. Everyone seeing this is a hardcore fan of mine. Don't forget to double tap the screen to send me a little heart. Thank you. Reattach all the fixed metal sheets, screw in the fixed screws. Now everyone can guess. Will the iPhone 16 come out with a 2 TB hard drive? Compared to Apple's double-layer motherboard, expanding MacBook and iPad is the lowest risk. So, would you expand your MacBook? Finally, screw in the motherboard's fixed screws, attach the touchpad connector. The last step, attach the battery, perform a cleaning, then install the back metal plate, screw in the 4 screws around. After cleaning, we boot up again, we click the upper left corner, then pull down about this system. Let's take a look. Storage space has been upgraded from 256 gigabytes to 2 terabytes. Everyone knows going to the official website to buy 2 terabytes compared to 256 gigabytes costs thousands of dollars more. So, after this operation, do you think it was a gain or a loss? Finally, we test the fingerprint, sound, and other functions. Okay, all functions are normal. We turn off the power, then clean up.